In September of last year, I experienced something I hope none of you have to go through. I won't bore you with the details, seeing as though my time with you is pretty limited, but I'll try to give you the bigger picture in hopes that you'll understand me better. In September of last year, I lost someone I loved very dearly. Losing someone in the most unexpected of ways tears you apart. Every day for about 3 months, I felt as if my guts were getting ripped apart from me, and I was losing the things that defined my identity. I no longer felt like I was worth anything, especially given the circumstances by which this person exited my life. I fell into a spiral of self-deprecation, self-loathing, anger, sadness, pretty much any negative feeling you can think of, I felt. And I had no idea how to handle this, how to be in control of my emotions. And I was frustrated because this is something that I had been taught to do since I was a little girl. This moment in time changed my life forever. I am not the same person that I was back in September, and in a way I am very thankful to that situation because I've been able to reflect upon my own actions and have come to peace with the outcomes of the situation. But at that moment in time, that dark, foggy moment in time, I lost track of everything that was important to me, especially my schoolwork. I couldn't concentrate in class. I would procrastinate more than I already used to and more than I still do. And overall, I just felt groggy all the time, as if I'd just woken up from anesthesia. I didn't want to be present, and so I sought ways to escape reality. Some people do this by going to the gym. I know a few of you are in here. And others fall into a more vicious cycle of drug and alcohol abuse. For me, it was chess. One day, in the middle of class, hoping to escape reality and not concentrate on actual schoolwork, I opened my computer and saw one of the Apple pre-installed games, chess. I decided to open it up and see where this thing I knew nothing about could take me in my sadness. That same day, I played a total of 68 games, and then later on that night, I went onto chess.com and made a profile. Now, please bear in mind, I knew nothing about chess before this. The only time I'd ever come close to a chessboard was when I was about 7 years old, and my grandfather sat me down and tried to explain to me how each piece moved. Naturally, I was not very amused, and so the information he gave me escaped my brain as soon as we sat up at the dinner table. I know chess might not be the most interesting or entertaining or fun game to talk about, but in order for me to continue this talk, I must give you that same talk my grandfather gave me 11 years ago. In essence, chess is pretty simple. It's an 8x8 board, 64 squares, 2 sets of pieces. Each set has 8 pawns, 2 knights, 2 bishops, 2 rooks, 1 queen, and 1 king. I'm not going to explain to you how each piece moves because it would be pointless to go through each piece without me actually giving you memorable information. Instead, I'll just tell you the roles that each piece fulfills. The pawns, they're the first line of protection against the king. They're seemingly unimportant when you start losing them, but in the end, when you're fighting to capture your opponent's king, a pawn might just be the perfect trap to deliver checkmate. Then we have our bishops and our knights. They're ruthless pieces. They're always on the hunt for your opponent's king to win the game. But they're just as easily to attack. If they're not defended properly, you can lose them really, really, really easily. And without bishops and knights, it's really hard to win the game. Then we have the rooks. In my opinion, they're the pillars of the game. They're usually the last one standing when endgame approaches, and the king is the only piece alive. If your opponent captures your rook, it's really hard to recover. Next, we have the queen, the most powerful piece of them all. She's the piece you want to use the most carefully, the most wisely. If you lose your queen, you've pretty much lost the game. And it's not uncommon to find players who quit or resign after losing your queen. And then, finally, we have the king. For a game centered all around the protection of the king, this piece is pretty useless in the development and strategy of chess. Nevertheless, there is no chess without the king. The king is the heart and soul of the game. Got that? Now let's try to apply these principles to my own situation. In the past, I've struggled with anxiety and have gotten help from professionals to try to mitigate the effect that mental illness could have on my own daily life. I am not ashamed to admit that I struggle and continue to struggle with anxiety and panic attacks because this is a part of who I am. But in learning how to manage this, I developed an insanely obsessive behavior. If I find myself in a situation where I cannot control others or myself, I flip out. I obsess over things that I love or find to give me comfort, but I also obsess over my own mistakes, which was something that before chess, I did not know how to handle well at all. What I was going through last semester was nothing short of a battle. Every day, I was making strategic decisions to try to survive without completely falling apart. I've pretty much just described what chess is as well. Chess is a battle, a fight. Every decision you make impacts the development of the game. One small mistake and everything you've worked so hard to build could completely fall apart. I've now come to admit that a stupid mistake or mishap cost me the game. But this didn't happen the first 5 or 10 times I played. This didn't happen the first 50 or 100 or 500 times I played chess. This happened because I played obsessively. And chess taught me and made me understand that I can only be accountable for my own decisions, not the decisions of others. Now, what did this obsession cause me? I think everyone here knows that I'm a pretty good student, and I've always cared about my grades, and I've always made an effort to keep them at a pretty high level. So what did I gain? Chess skill. A lot of it. What did it cost me? My grades. There was a point in time where I was failing 3 subjects, something unheard of for me. It even got to a point where I had a class, the 0.8. I had to drop classes because I couldn't turn in all the work that I had missed because I was playing chess. Now, was this caused by chess? No. This was caused by my inability to cope with the fact that I had lost someone that I cared about. Now, surely, slowly, very slowly, in the opinions of most of my teachers and some of my friends, I began to notice that I was healing. I was no longer the same person that I was in September, and I was getting better. Chess allowed me to understand that everything that happened in September was not entirely my fault, and come to terms with the fact that this person was no longer in my life. Chess allowed me to keep my king alive, even when quitting the game because I had lost my queen made the most sense. Chess saved my life. Now, surely I couldn't be the only person that this happened to, right? I mean, escapism is as old as time. In doing research for this talk, I came across an amazing discovery: chess therapy. There is scientific evidence that suggests that patients struggling with depression, bipolar disorder, ADHD, and even schizophrenia can get better if they play chess regularly. Exactly because chess teaches you those lessons that sometimes we're unable to reach on our own merit. Chess allows people to escape their reality. It was made very obvious to me that if I was fighting to keep my knights alive, and if the other person had simply developed their game or had been smarter about the game than me, defending those pieces would ultimately cost me the game. There is still little research done on chess therapy, especially because it's all pretty new. But having experienced the power of this game, this ancient game that challenges perspectives, I can 100% reach the conclusion that chess saved my life. Had it not been for chess, I would not be okay with losing a person that I once loved. I would not be okay with making mistakes. Chess changed my life for the better. So please, next time your grandparent sits you down and tries to explain to you something that they're really passionate about, like chess, just listen to them. You might spare yourself from having to experience loss to know how to overcome.